A lot of us have heard the famous quote by Arthur C. Clarke that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. In fact, it goes a lot deeper than that. The etymology of the word magic comes from the Proto-Indo-European word mag. At least I assume that's how they pronounce it. I don't know. I don't speak cavemanese or ancient languages, but the meaning of mag meant to be able, right? And at the end of the day, what we're trying to do with Web3, all of us in this room, all of us hacking today, us at Flow Foundation as a blockchain, us in Web3, us in technology, is we're trying to enable people. Technology is one of the only things in the world that if you spend one weekend, a couple days of concentrated effort, of creativity, of purpose, of passion, you can create something that could impact billions of people. If you're a doctor, if you're an engineer, nothing comes close to that potential impact, right? Before I start the presentation, I want to talk about what the world used to look like before, where we are, before Flow, before everything. At the very beginning, the inception of crypto. We were going through a time where there was global digitization, but everywhere we looked, there was centralization. Everyday people didn't feel control. There was trust without verification, right? And then all of a sudden, there were a group of people that started forming. There was a white paper that was published, and Bitcoin came out of nowhere. It had all the ingredients of a good story. This prophetic, mystical character, Satoshi Nakamoto, or a group of people. No one knew exactly who they were. Lots of libertarians were like, oh my God, this is changing things. Holy crap, why do banks, why do intermediaries have control of my hard-earned cash, right? It started creating a group of people that thought that technology could be used towards unlocking real value for people and freeing them from other people's control, right? There was a new ethos that formed. And very soon, with the digitization of the world, what value does a JPEG have? What value does a digital asset even have? We had this whole issue with piracy, right? If I duplicate my digital asset and share it with you and share it infinitely, there's infinite supply. Does it even have any value? The original person's not losing something. The new person's not losing something, right? So NFTs came about to solve things like that. And in the early stages, people were really looking at Bitcoin and NFTs before the DeFi summer that would come years later. In that environment, something very magical happened. And again, remember, the etymology of the word magic is to enable, right? Something enabled a huge group of people. Does anyone know what that could be? It rhymes with CryptoKitties. CryptoKitties, damn right. It all started with CryptoKitties. So for those of you that don't know, CryptoKitties was a very engaging platform that allowed people to breed cats and collect them as digital collectibles and trade them and so on and so forth. The person that launched that contract is actually in this room with us right now. This is what started crypto as we know it. And it's that man standing all the way over there, Jordan. I don't want to put him on the spot, but he's kind of a celebrity in my heart. Guess where it all started? That smart contract was launched at an ETH Global event just like this. And then eventually it ended up creating billions in value. It ended up, more importantly, showing that there was a problem in Web3, right? No one was expecting someone to put these assets on chain. People thought people will just verify financial transactions, but all of a sudden, 14,000 people were breeding these cats and throwing them on chain. And what we realized was Ethereum really struggled with scaling as a result. Only 14,000 people were able to crash the entire network and cause fees to skyrocket through the roof. Something needed to be done. The way that Ethereum kind of looked at solutions for scaling was to look at solutions like L2s. These were, easy protocol implementations. They were flexible, but they led to more ecosystem fragmentation, broken user experiences, and more complicated DevX overall. What the original Ethereum scaling mechanisms provided, though, was scalability and decentralization with more complexity and resource requirements. It was essentially sharding that they used, right? Flow blockchain came out of this environment. What is Flow? Flow is a L1 blockchain built for consumer apps and scaling to billions of users. It's trusted by world brands that we all grew up on, like Disney, like Mattel, Hot Wheels, Barbie, NBA Top Shot. And really, at the very beginning, we wanted to work on a blockchain that was for everyone, right? So we created a multi-role architecture, whereas other chains would have like millions of nodes that were all doing the exact same thing, working with the exact same data. This multi-node architecture had hyper-specialized nodes that would focus on one thing at a time, like verification. What this allowed was scalability without sharding. And testament to that was the creation of applications like NBA Top Shot, right? What are some of the biggest barriers for users using Web3 apps? I want to like engage you guys a little bit on this. Like if your grandmother wanted to use an application, like a Web3 app, would she be able to do that? Like what are some of the barriers? UX, what kind of UX? Creating a wallet, okay, anything else? Gas, you guys, wow, I swear this wasn't scripted. You guys are spot on. Exactly, things like connecting wallets. If your grandmother goes to an account and instead of seeing sign in, she sees connect wallet, it's like, how the hell am I going to connect my wallet, right? Like, what does that mean? Is this going to scam me? Is this a scam? What is this crypto stuff, right? What are gas fees? Oh my God, are those like taxes? Oh, I have to go to a centralized exchange. I have to buy this. Okay, I have to get on a call with the fraud department at my bank for 4 hours before I could even start using this application. Like, there's a lot of barriers that prevent people from starting to use these applications. Remember the theme of the talk, like magic being to enable? Right? These things were disabling. These things were barriers that prevented people from accessing the value propositions of technology or of Web3, right? So Top Shot was an exciting use case of an application that embraced these protocol level primitives that we've created. Things like account abstraction at the protocol level that allows you to create truly walletless onboarding experiences, where at the beginning of the user journey, perhaps the application generates an account and owns it and manages it for you. But as you get further down the rabbit hole, you have full control over all those assets and you could transfer them into your new non-custodial wallet or account, right? Same thing for transactions. We've introduced I'll talk about that in a bit actually. We've introduced a transaction model that allows you to separate the proposer from the payer and the authorizer. What this allows you to do is do things like creating sponsored transactions where the application pays for gas fees and the users have completely seamless experiences, right? These things allowed NBA Top Shot to, on certain days, one single application have more transactions than the entire Ethereum network combined. Right? So where are we today? Flow has engaged these massive communities worldwide. We have about 45 million users. There's 600 million transactions, 440 network nodes, and 20 countries with nodes around the world on every continent except Australia. We're currently working with the penguins there to figure out how we could integrate, but we'll see how soon that can happen. Right? One of the most exciting things that I would love to share with you guys is earlier in this month, we've had our largest upgrade ever. Does anyone know what that upgrade was called? Anyone? Crescendo, damn straight. So what were some of the things that Crescendo unlocked for developers? Or rather, what is some of the magic it created? How did it enable developers? EVM equivalency. Equivalency is like just a little bit more like better than compatibility. I just want to say, but earlier this month when we launched Crescendo, we not only did a major upgrade to our native programming language Cadence and improved the UX of it, but we also introduced EVM equivalency. What that means is that the 90% plus developers in Web3 that started going down the rabbit hole at ETH Global events, started watching Patrick Collins videos for 30 hours straight, or started using crypto zombies late at night in their bedrooms, those guys can start deploying their Solidity contracts and using their favorite tools like Hardhat Remix, their favorite like integrations or oracles like Chainlink right off the bat and instantly, right? So you don't have to configure anything. You can now access Flow, all of these different IPs, all of these different assets, all those 45 million user communities of people that are passionate about consumer applications, right? Consumer applications that have abstracted away all the barriers to using them. Now, yeah, so pretty much a lot of the same thing. Like with EVM on Flow, we use the exact same Solidity smart contracts and JSON RPC API as well as methods. There's no code changes from Ethereum required whatsoever. There's no constraints. One awesome thing is EVM++. What does that mean? With Cadence, if you choose to, it's not a necessity at all, but if you choose to, you can extend your native EVM or Solidity-based applications to do really cool things, like enable gas-free transactions, use that unique transaction model I mentioned to have like gasless experiences. You can also do things like access the secure resource-oriented programming features of Cadence, or access things like the unique account model on Flow, right? On Flow, or on the Cadence side of Flow rather, you can have NFTs and fungible tokens that have metadata views. What happens when you add metadata to the asset level is you both future-proof your assets, but you also guarantee backwards compatibility. You future-proof them in terms of interoperability with new evolving standards. For example, I wanted to have royalties that were very specific. I'm a creator. I don't want every time my NFT is listed on one exchange, someone buys it, takes it off, puts it on another exchange to lose those royalties. I can add like the payout address and the percentage that gets paid out directly at the metadata level. As new standards get created, maybe a new metaverse standard is created for how to show your NFTs in a specific like metaverse application, right? You can add optional fields after your assets have been deployed. You don't have to go back and redeploy the contract from scratch. So you could access a lot of these things like through Cadence and extend your application in exciting ways, right? I already talked about the transaction model. In addition to sponsored transactions, there are a lot of other like Cadence native transaction types that are unlocked. Some of them include scripted transactions, which allow you to specify pre- and post-execution conditions. This is really cool if you want to do things like create adaptive yield farming strategies where the execution of that transaction is relying on data that's constantly changing and volatile, and you might not want to make a certain transaction if certain changes have been made, right? Another thing is multi-sig transactions. So at the transaction level, you're able to require multiple signers for a transaction to go through. This is super useful to have at the protocol level for things like video games. If you played World of Warcraft, if you played Pokemon, if you want to facilitate these types of like atomic swaps where these two people want to trade things at the same time, they both sign that transaction and it ends up going through, or even escrow type applications, right? Already talked about the account model with native account abstraction. I'm going to skip that for now. Yeah, so really where we are at today is we're encouraging all you builders to come and build the future of Web3 today with us. Whether you want to experiment a little bit with the Cadence side of things and those value propositions of creating gasless as well as walletless experiences, or if you want to just do pure EVM or Solidity, like we're welcoming it all. Where we're at with Flow is we offer faster, cheaper transactions. We're more secure. You can deploy EVM apps seamlessly and elevate them with Cadence. And I have a little bit of alpha for you guys today, just special for you, never before talked about, all right? Oh, who said thank you? Who's the grateful person? Oh wait, is this live stream? Damn it, now a lot of people are gonna know about it, right? You guys are the first in something really magical. And it's almost like a movement. What we're trying to do is over the next several months, we're going to be doing a world tour, and we're starting here in Singapore. We're starting with 2 major hacking topics, which are consumer DeFi and the next killer application. After that, we'll be going to other events in Thailand and San Francisco. And the opportunity we have today, we know that at a past ETH Global, someone like Jordan was able to launch an application that ended up changing an entire industry, that ended up generating billions of dollars in value, right? What are we going to create today? What kind of applications, what kind of infrastructure, what kind of consumer-centric products are we going to create that solve real-world pains for everyday people? Not just like pump and dump kind of like mechanisms or just speculative stuff that lead to zero-sum games, like solving real-world problems. What What are we going to create that might be used in the next 10, 20, 50 years? And continue to create magic, continue enabling people. On the flow side, we've done our part. We've enabled developers, we've created products that enable users, we tear down all those barriers. How do we work together to enable the next generation of mankind? And I'm super excited to work with you on that. Thank you so much.